What would professional wrestling be without its hypothetical dream matches? Well, probably a lot less disappointing, to be honest, because such matches rarely, if ever, end up happening. Still, we here at Cultaholic are nothing if not dreamers who never learn, so even though the fantasy may not end up becoming a reality, we will continue to dream. I mean, it beats getting a real job. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 pro wrestling dream matches that could still happen, but probably won't. Join us! Number 10, Kenny Omega vs AJ Styles. Despite both men wrestling on the independent scene and in Japan for such a large stretch of their respective careers, Kenny Omega and AJ Styles only wrestled once, and that was back in 2006 for a small indie called Premier Championship Wrestling in Winnipeg. Only a couple of clips of that match have ever seen the light of day. In 2006, Styles may have been a well-polished performer on the rise thanks to his work in promotions like TNA and Ring of Honor, but Omega was really just starting to build his reputation. He wasn't the best bout machine he would become in later years, the best bout machine who kicked the Phenomenal One out of the Bullet Club while supplanting him as the group's leader. That was a great hook for a future match that sadly never came. These days, AJ is with WWE and seemingly edging towards retirement, while the amount of time Kenny's career has left has come into question following serious health issues. A match between the two could theoretically still happen if Styles goes to AEW or Omega goes to WWE, but the possibility seems remote. Number 9, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage versus the Young Bucks. One of Adam Copeland's first orders of business in an AEW ring was to reignite his rivalry with real-life best friend and one-time kayfabe brother Christian Cage. The two had a very rewarding feud over the TNT title, which ended when the Rated R superstar beat Captain Charisma to regain the belt in a thrilling I Quit match. With the beef now put to bed, they surely need to team up once more, don't they? Should Copeland and Cage, formerly known as Edge and Christian, decide to have one more run as a duo, the match at the top of every AEW fan's list is likely to be one against the Young Bucks. Love them or loathe them, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson are still the standard bearers in AEW's tag division, and a match with the multi-time former WWE Tag Team Champions would be a big-time pay-per-view attraction. But how likely is it? If they're gonna do it, they need to get a move on. Granted, C&C are both in great shape for their ages, but neither are getting any younger and have suffered major injury setbacks in recent years, while the Bucks are also feeling the effects of their punishing style and are on a reduced schedule these days. And we haven't even mentioned the heel and face dynamics. Number 8, Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee. In recent years, Becky Lynch got to live out her childhood dreams by having singles matches with both Lisa and Trish Stratus. The man worked wonders with the Hall of Famers too, having excellent matches, especially the show-stealing cage match with Trish. At this point, pretty much every notable female performer from yesteryear has returned for one more match or run, except one. AJ Lee retired in 2015, and ever since, fans have been clamoring for her return. And if the former Divas champion, who did so much to progress the perception of the women's division during the early days of its so-called revolution, is to return, we would say that Lynch would be the ideal opponent for her. Not only is Becky a major star and a dependable dance partner, but there's also the potential for the program to be worked into an existing storyline, as their respective husbands have been feuding. Roxanne Perez is on record as saying one Phil Brooks is working on getting his wife to don the Chuck Taylors once more, while there is reported interest on WWE's end on making a comeback happen. If it does, WWE would be wise to book Lee against Lynch. Number 7, Cody Rhodes vs John Cena. So here is perhaps the most likely on our list. 2025 is set to be John Cena's final year as an in-ring performer. The 16-time world champion will go down as one of the biggest stars in WWE history, having helped carry the company for over a decade while he was the face that ran the place. Many WWE stars, both past and present, have publicly lobbied for one more round with Big Match John, but perhaps the most intriguing proposition would be Cena going against the man who is now pulling the wagon in this new era. While there are many big stars doing their bit at present, Cody Rhodes is very much the one working the house shows, doing the media rounds, and shifting boatloads of merch as he works tirelessly to be seen as the guy. Could Cena, in his last year as an active pro wrestler, try and win history-making world title number 17 by beating the current WWE champion? The two men met in a few televised singles outings outings during Cody's first WWE run, but the American Nightmare was a very different proposition back then, and the match is a certified WrestleMania main event if it were to happen today. If being the operative word there. Number 6, Seth Rollins versus Will Ospreay. Back in 2019, Seth Rollins and Will Ospreay got into a little Twitter beef. Rollins, the reigning WWE Universal Champion at the time, took to social media to sing the praises of the WWE roster following the Stomping Grounds event, calling it the best pro wrestling on the planet. Probably could have picked a better show than that one, mate. Anyway, when Rollins challenged the Twitterverse to find anyone else alive who could do what he does as well as he does it, the up-and-coming Will Ospreay responded simply with, "I'm alive." That prompted the architect to bring up his bank balance, and well, the whole thing was rather silly, but it did get people talking. And it's fair to say a match between the two this many years later would get people talking too. The aerial assassin has upped his game in the years since, while Rollins has established himself as one of WWE's true MVPs. You would have to assume their styles would complement one another, and they would have, as the kids say, a banger. Sadly, Ospreay is AEW all the way, and Seth appears to be WWE for life, making the match a near impossibility. Number 5, Gunther versus Brock Lesnar. WWE had planned to book Gunther, who was then Intercontinental Champion, against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 40. Der Ring General himself has been open about the fact that he wanted a match with Brock, referring to Lesnar as his final boss. And what a match it would have been too, as Gunther would have presented a very different challenge for the typically dominant Brock, putting the end result in real doubt. Unfortunately, Lesnar was pulled from WWE's creative plans and the match was cancelled after Lesnar was implicated in former WWE employee Janelle Grant's bombshell lawsuit against Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE. Since then, the Beast has been MIA, with rumours of a potential return persistently being shot down as false. It remains to be seen just what happens with WWE and Brock moving forward, since the next big thing's name and reputation have been tarnished due to the allegations presented in Grant's lawsuit. If WWE were to bring him back, would fans accept it? Truth be told, at his age and with the vast sums of money he's made during his long career, Lesnar doesn't need to work and may end up being Gunther's white whale. Number 4, Rey Mysterio versus Rey Fénix. For years and years, WWE have been searching for the next Rey Mysterio, and it always turns out that the next Rey Mysterio is, in fact, Rey Mysterio. Because while there may be talented masked men who wrestle a similar style, there really is only one Rey Mysterio, and there will never be another like him. However, the belief that Rey Fénix is likely WWE bound once his deal with AEW ends has led some to think that WWE may have finally found their next lucha sensation. A tattooed high flyer with a unique charisma who has revolutionized wrestling with his groundbreaking style? Sound familiar, does it? Fénix could be WWE's best shot at finding somebody to replace Mysterio, who, despite extending his career due to the miracle of modern medicine, more than likely doesn't have too much time left as an active in-ring performer. Could WWE book Rey vs. Rey when the luchador is officially out of contract? The two men teamed and squared off in tag matches during Mysterio's time away from WWE in the 2010s, but have never clashed one-on-one. In the relatively unlikely event that it ever happens, it would certainly be spectacular. Number 3, Randy Orton versus The Rock. The Rock's full-on return has led to all sorts of rumors about potential matches for the final boss. The most likely of these are probably The Rock taking on Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, based on what happened at WrestleMania 40. And while those are mouth-watering prospects on paper, a match between Big Dwayne and another third-generation star would also be pretty damn good. The Rock and Randy Orton have previous, of course, having met in Evolution's handicap match victory over the Rock and Sock Connection at WrestleMania 20. And the Legend Killer clearly wants to go one-on-one with the Great One, based on him angling for the match all the way back in 2019. Johnson sits on WWE's board of directors and basically has the ability to book his own storyline, so if he wanted to wrestle Randy, he could do so anytime he wants. But would he want to, though? If The Rock has any matches left in him, then he's probably going to use them on the likes of Cody and Roman. Not that Orton isn't a big star or anything, but he's perhaps a rung below the likes of those two at this point in time and not a realistic choice. Number 2, The New Day versus The Elite. Prior to helping form All Elite Wrestling, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks almost signed with WWE. And had they decided to put pen to paper with the company, the Elite would have almost certainly crossed paths with The New Day. Nick Jackson himself has claimed the match almost happened, while naming The New Day as the WWE team or trio he would most like him and Matt to wrestle. Omega and Xavier Woods are close friends too, and would have no doubt been up for a dream six-man that I'm willing to bet would have torn the bloody house down. That friendship did lead to The New Day and the Elite battling it out in the Street Fighter arena on an episode of Up, Up, Down, Down, but that is as close as we've gotten to the two teams in competition. Could a match between the two sides still happen? More than likely not, since Omega and the Bucks are firmly with AEW and New Day are assured WWE lifers. Besides, Woods and Kofi Kingston recently turned heel on Big E, who, we must remember, may never wrestle again after breaking his neck in 2022. Number 1, CM Punk vs Stone Cold Steve Austin. Just a few years ago, the thought of Steve Austin and CM Punk ever being in the same ring together would have had the internet wrestling police breaking down your door to, I don't know, call you a stupid mark or something. The straight edge superstar was All Elite, while the Texas Rattlesnake was happily retired, going on 20 years. Punk has since left AEW and returned to WWE, while Austin came out of retirement to wrestle Kevin Owens in the main event of WrestleMania 38. Stone Cold looked great against KO too, leading some to speculate that the WWE Hall of Famer may just have one more left in him. Surely, if he does have one more left in him, he would choose for it to be against CM Punk. The two teased a program together during Punk's first WWE run, but it never ended up happening. In recent times, Punk has said that he would gladly wrestle Austin if he's up for it, with Austin offering the old wrestler maxim of never say never. Will it ever happen? Probably not, but as long as there's a chance, there's hope. And that really is the bottom line.